The U.S. President Donald Trump brought his anti-immigration campaign to fruition as the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has already arrested over 415 immigrants on the grounds of their illegal status. Colombia's Interior Minister Juan Fernando Cristo announced that they will go on the offensive against the National Liberation Army given the extreme situation in the northeast of the country. Palestinian rescue teams have recovered at least 170 bodies in the southern Gaza Strip since the start of the ceasefire. Hello and welcome to From the South. Omar Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. Now we'll be with the news. Stay with us. The newly U.S. President Donald Trump brought his anti-immigration campaign to fruition as the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) has already arrested over 450 immigrants on the grounds of their illegal status. In just 33 hours, civil organizations and national media have registered 460 immigration detentions. The immigrants are citizens from Afghanistan, Angola, Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, El Salvador, Guatemala, Mexico, Honduras, Senegal, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, among others. And migration authorities claim that some detainees have police records. Meanwhile, the Pentagon is preparing military contingents for the U.S. border, which media outlets estimate such developments could reach 10,000 troops. Russian presidential spokesperson Dmitry Peskov assured on Thursday that the threat of the U.S. President Donald Trump to impose new sanctions did not catch his government by surprise. The diplomat described Trump's first presidential term back in 2016 as the ones resorting the most to sanctions. Peskov ensured that Russian authorities have kept posts about the statements to mull over all the nonsense. In addition, the spokespersons reaffirmed that Moscow takes the path of dialogue based on respect and equity, so it awaits signals to reactivate contacts with Washington. Lately, the White House enacted Kremlin on further sanctions if the Russian Federation does not reach a peace agreement with Ukraine. Evelyn Salgado Pineda, governor of the southern Mexican state of Guerrero, said on Wednesday that she was working on a comprehensive program designed by the state's main authorities to receive migrant support from the U.S. She also explained that she had met with various authorities to develop a policy of support for the citizens of these states who live in other countries, reassuring them that they are not alone and that when they return to their homeland, they will be welcome as they deserve and will embrace in all aspects. She also points out that he was in contact with immigration authorities and migrants organizations in cities such as Chicago and Los Angeles to channel the arrival of their nationals. In Mexico, a giant puppet known as Little Amal that became a symbol of refugee children will exhibit part of her journey through Latin America in a photographic exhibition at the Open Gallery of Chapultepec Forest. Our correspondent Antonio Aranda gives us the details of the following report.
The condition of migrant or refugee is not a crime, but a human circumstance, is one of the messages of Little Amal, the 3.5-meter high puppet that represents a Syrian refugee girl.
Amal's strength is that she is very visible because she is such a tall puppet, but she is a child. So, she brings a message of peace that is like saying, I didn't do anything to find myself in this situation. I am in a situation of separation from my parents. I am in a situation of having come out of a war. I am looking for peace and I am looking to build my life and I am looking for a safe environment. That is the message of Amal.
The
exhibition The Journey of Little Amal through Mexico shows her journey through 7 cities in the country, where she brought a testimony of the defense of human rights, especially those of children. I believe that today more than ever there needs to be possibilities of response, of protection, of integration, and of offering people the opportunity to rebuild their lives if they cannot stay in their countries of origin.
UN data indicate that in recent years, Mexico has been among the countries with the highest number of asylum requests for refugees, and the government's policy is to offer them dignified places to stay.
We have designed a strategy that will allow us to ensure that people coming from other countries to the city do not have to be on the streets of the city as they are today.
The pass of Little Amal through our country seeks to generate solidarity and compassion towards those who have had to leave their places of origin.
The fact that Amal was able to be here in Mexico helped to raise awareness about this migration issue. And the fact that through a figure like a 9-year-old girl, the vulnerability she represents, and how she was received in Mexico has been great.
Data from the UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, indicate that there are 123 million forcibly displaced people in the world.
Antonio Aranda, teleSUR, Ciudad de México.
Let's take a very short break, but remember you can join us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. Colombia's Interior Minister Juan Fernando Cristo announced that they will go on the offensive against the National Liberation Army (ELN), given the extreme situation in the northeast of the country. The head of the National Security announced the measure after President Gustavo Petro confirmed on Monday that he will declare a state of internal commotion for the first time in 16 years. The violence exercised by the ELN against former social leaders and peace signatories in Catatumbo has already caused more than 38,000 displaced persons, refugees, and nearly 80 fatalities. In this scenario, the minister informed that under the protection of all constitutional and legal instruments, they will proceed with the following steps. The Venezuelan state announced the reactivation of the 13 productive engines of the country with the objectives of advancing in the 7th transformation plan. One of these engines is the socialist and solidarity-based communal economy. With the details, our correspondent Daisy Toussaint.
The Commune El Panal is a historical organization of the 23 de Enero neighborhood in the Venezuelan capital, pioneers in popular participation projects.
We would have to see how it was planned at the beginning, that each commune would have socio-productive organizations according to their knowledge in sewing, fishing, agriculture, at least in Caracas. I will give you an example from Caracas. We are serving 466 communes in Caracas. Those communes in turn have socio-productive organizations of textile confection. We are talking about more than 1,600 producers, who at the same time produce more than 467,000 products in school uniforms, jackets, and school clothes. This economy strengthens the communal economy, which develops what would be the communal bank, and at the same time, it advances towards the communal state.
The socialist textile factory Las Abejitas del Panal has been operating here for 13 years. It is an organization that follows the guidelines of the commune and provides work and knowledge to the population.
My grandmother is a seamstress and she used to teach me a little bit, but I learned here and now I myself taught her, look grandma, this is how it is. The good thing here is that we leave at 12 o'clock. We go to lunch until 2:30 p.m. I have my children studying here. I go to pick them up, I have them here for a while, I go home for a while, and then I come back here and leave at 5:30 p.m.
We started with 6 machines. I was not going to work here. I came to bring my daughter, and I liked working so much. And I liked the workshop so much that since I already knew how to sew, I stayed working until now. I have been here for 13 years.
This is a project of popular power proposed by Commander Hugo Chavez to overcome the classic model of the state.
Before the presence of Commander Chavez, the productive forces, be it bakery, sewing, breeding, fishing, were in the hands of private companies. And when they went into the hands of private companies, it was the private company that enjoyed the benefits. At this moment, we are seeing that this economic resource is in the hands of the producers, which is the people.
During the meeting with the Economic Council, the president of Venezuela announced that they will remain in permanent session to reorder, redrive, and promote the country's new economic and productive agenda.
Venezuela no es colonia del Banco Mundial.
Venezuela is not a colony of the World Bank, nor of the International Monetary Fund, nor of anyone.
Venezuela está construyendo su propio modelo.
Else Venezuela is building its own model of economic, political, and social independence of equality.
Social, de igualdad.
During 2024, manufacturing increased by 4.6%. The Venezuelan head of state summarized the transformation of the economic model, explaining that the Bolivarian economic agenda was simplified to 13 engines and the defense of national savings was launched.
Para teleSUR, Daisy Toussaint, Caracas, Venezuela. Nicaragua's National Assembly on Wednesday unanimously approved the reform of the Constitution chapter on the economy and public finance in order to boost the country's productive and commercial activity. The parliamentary work is part of the process of partial reform of the Constitution with this resolution. For example, the creative economy is elevated to the policy as a pillar of sustainable development in Nicaragua. The approved bill also affirms, among other things, the inalienable rights of families to access medicines, school supplies, drinking water, public transport, and other essential services. Colombian President Gustavo Petro visited Haiti on January 22nd to strengthen bilateral relations and address pressing challenges faced by both nations. During his meeting with the president of Haiti's Presidential Transition Council, Leslie Voltaire, the leader discussed crucial areas of cooperation, including security, trade, and environmental activities, all while focusing on stabilizing Haiti's and escalating criminal groups' violence. In this context, Petro also expressed its concern over the situation of the detained former Colombian soldiers linked to the assassination of former Haitian President Jovenel Moïse in 2021 and formally apologized to the Haitian people.
Gracias, pueblo haitiano.
Thank you, Haitian people. I ask your forgiveness, because some white Colombians came here to kill the president of Haiti.
A matar al presidente de Haití. En nombre de todo el pueblo colombiano.
In the name of all the Colombian people, I say to you, that we do not believe in the death spread by these Colombians. We believe in life. Colombia is the heart of life in the world.
Colombia es corazón de la vida.
Let's take our last break, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, where you'll be able to watch on interviews, stories, special broadcasts, and more. Hit the subscribe button and active the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. We'll find a short break, don't go away. Welcome back. Ecuador is going through an electoral campaign for the elections in February, in which more than 13 million Ecuadorians will elect their president. Citizens maintain that these are not just another election, but that a model of the countries they want to rule is at stake. The reporter with Elena Rodriguez.
16 candidates are running for the presidency of Ecuador. Experts consider that, in ideological terms, two groups are clearly defined.
Clearly, the extreme right is more predominant. If we divide, and the debate helps us a lot. The first bloc fought over who was more right-wing, who privatized more things. Then libertarian figures emerge with whom we must be very careful, because they start to use freedom, but there is no freedom without equality. Then what they want is freedom of enterprise, freedom to precarize, freedom to exploit the environment.
Some Ecuadorian candidates, with their proposals, seek to emulate the president of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, or the ultra-right Argentinian Javier Milei. It is in this political spectrum where the current president and candidate for re-election, Daniel Noboa, is located.
The ultra-rightists that are being formed and the right-wingers all have a primary export base, based on the idea that mining is going to get us out of somewhere, total market liberalization, privatization, more monetary funds. And on the other hand, how we control the population, iron fist militarization, creation of false positives, and a whole narrative that favors us to believe that the only way we can exist in this world is if we directly eliminate the person next to us who does not look like me, who does not think like me.
And in this scenario where, on the other side, leftist options emerge, such as the candidates Luisa Gonzalez of the Citizen Revolution and Leonidas Azá of Pacatucec, placed, according to several pollsters, in first and third place, respectively.
The words most used in the government plan of Luisa Gonzalez are justice and rights. If we go to another plan, for example, that of Leonidas Azá, the most used word is rights. And we can see that the very notion of formulating the concerns within the government plan shows what it is aiming at.
If no two candidates reach more than 40% of the valid votes, with a difference of 10 percentage points over the second place, there will be a runoff. Therefore, the challenge for the left, according to this analyst, will be to achieve the union.
With that programmatic unity and that roadmap, any of the people of the left and progressivism that passes to the second round should carry it forward as a possibility of response to the other issues that this country is requiring and that requires that maturity. Precisely because if there is something that is diminished among us is trust.
Ecuador is facing a multidimensional crisis, with a wave of insecurity, with around 40 violent deaths per 100,000 inhabitants. This figure has led the country to be considered the most violent in the region.
Con imágenes de Henry Pillajo, Elena Rodríguez, TeleSUR Ecuador.
And now moving on. Palestinian rescue teams have recovered at least 170 bodies in the southern Gaza Strip since the start of the ceasefire. On Thursday, rescue teams recovered at least 9 bodies of Palestinians killed in the town of Bani Suhaila, east of Khan Yunis. According to the Palestinian authorities, more than 14,000 people might be buried under the structures destroyed by the conflict in the region. It is estimated that 70% of the victims are women and minors. The Organization for Islamic Cooperation on Thursday condemned the violence on its attacks in the West Bank, specifically in the Jenin refugee camp, where 12 Palestinians were killed. In addition to the deaths, there are thousands of injured. The occupying forces have also set up checkpoints and iron gates to cut off towns and villages in the area. They also gave an account of the gravity of the crimes committed daily by the shooters, now pardoned by President Donald Trump against thousands of Palestinians backed by the genocidal troops. In Lebanon, approximately 1.6 million people face severe levels of food insecurity due to the recent military aggressions by the Israeli regime. According to a report by the World Food Programme, about 201,000 people are in an emergency situation at risk of active malnutrition. In addition, Syrian and Palestinian refugees in Lebanon are also being severely affected, with more than 680,000 at risk of food insecurity. The Israeli aggression has worsened a pre-existing economic crisis in the country, which is still struggling to recover after the ceasefire reached in November 2024. The conflict has devastated key sectors such as agriculture, damaging land, infrastructure, and livelihood, further aggravating the food situation. In Sudan, more than 1 million people have fled to South Sudan because of the conflict and humanitarian crisis. Tens of thousands of people have been killed and more than 12 million forced to flee since the war broke out between army and rapid support forces in April 2023. The UN reported more than 770,000 people have fled through the govt border crossing in 21 months, while tens of thousands have crossed into South Sudan through other locations, bringing the total to more than 1 million. New cases of cholera have been reported in Angola's Umbahabur province, bringing the number of people infected to 671. According to the Angolan Ministry of Health, the province of Ikolod, Bengo, and Balanje and Luanda have also recorded cases. The capital, Luanda, has the highest number of confirmed cholera cases, with 484, around 70% of those affected. The health authorities said that they have taken steps since January 18 to procure the vaccines for the population, giving priority to children. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook, on X, and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English and from the south of Margarita, thank you for watching.